Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Football Fandemic. We are at week 10 and exciting things are happening in the NFL. Join us today as we talk about some of the big news that's coming. We talk about 3 homer teams that won last week, and we look forward to week 10. Join us now on the Football Fandemic. All right, guys. Well, it is a good time of year. We are rounding out just past the middle of the season. Things are starting to take shape. Maybe that's not the best for all of our teams, but we can say one thing. All 3 of these homer teams won last week. And that doesn't always happen, especially when you're looking at teams with 2 wins and 3 wins like we are. I guess the Commanders have 4. Oh, wait, I have 4. Colts have 4. And Packers 3 now?
Yeah, 3 and 5.
Look at us, guys.
What a great time.
We are up to 4 or almost 4 wins for all 3 teams. We are rocking in the real world here. Hey, let's talk about some of this big news that is coming in the world of the NFL. What do we have? Oh, I got the first one because I just think it was hilarious. When I saw it, I just laughed out loud. And that is the old Rams. They fell for it. They took the bait. They stepped in the trap. They have signed Carson Wentz to be their backup quarterback behind Matthew Stafford. I don't know if he'll get to play, if Matthew Stafford will ever be benched or if he'll get hurt. But man, just the fact that Carson Wentz is there. There was a time where I thought Carson Wentz was going to get signed to a team that needed a starter because people were getting hurt earlier this year. And it didn't happen until now, week 10, but Carson Wentz is back on a roster. That guy, for as little as he does, he just seems to keep getting on with teams and making more money. So good for him. Good for Carson Wentz. Like we've always said, Carson Wentz is not a bad guy. We like Carson Wentz as a guy. You know, he'd probably be a good friend, whatever. But boy, did he frustrate us as our starting quarterbacks. When I say us, I mean Colts and Commanders. Unfortunately, I really thought the Packers should get in on that deal somehow and get a Carson Wentz in there so everybody here could have had Carson Wentz and felt the pain just a little bit.
I do not want that sort of pain. I will take pain elsewhere.
There's lots of pain to be had. You don't need it there, right?
Yeah, I don't need Carson Wentz.
So that happened. But we're going to start off this, and this is in all caps. We, the 3 of us here, Football Fandemic, we are in the 180 top. So that's a number. 180 top minds in the football reporting world today, according to, who's that according to?
Let me go look. I closed it earlier.
I just had it up and I closed it too.
Michael
George
Bathurst.
Yeah.
Wait, one of you. What is it?
You got it, Josh.
All right. Michael George Bathurst, who followed us at first, and then he added us to his Twitter list of football insights, and it's a list of football insights it says, here is a list of influencers who have a deep knowledge on the game of football. We are one of 179 members.
And when I say one, we are number 15 on that list, which is a little bit below Travis Kelce, right? But it is
Jason Kelce.
Jason Kelce.
But
it is like
Travis,
3 above Tom Brady.
Anthony Richardson,
What?
and a little bit below Patrick Mahomes. Oh, no, man,
Look at that, guys.
Fan account.
Look at that. And there's lots of other people on there. I don't know how he came up with this. Maybe he's one of the people watching us right now, one of those up there. But listen, we do believe that while we may not have all of the ins and outs of X's and O's that happen in the game, we do have a good understanding of what's going on in the world of football. We like to report that news, especially if it has to do with Colts, Commanders, or Packers, but not limited to that. We hit every team a little bit. So awesome. We're one of the 180 greatest minds. And I think when it comes to that greatest mind, it has to be Brandon or Josh, because I don't think it's me, although I love to talk. So here we are. I will tell you this, though. One piece of news that I would say, I don't know if it's disheartened or not. I don't know what I feel about it yet. And that is Will Levis has been named the starter for the Tennessee Titans for the remainder of the year, meaning that even if Ryan Tannehill comes back, he is going to be sitting on the bench behind Will Levis. That change has been made. So now what you're looking at is, I really, really wanted this to be a time in this year where we had C.J. Stroud, brand new quarterback, taken in the top, of the quarterback class. Anthony Richardson taken in the top of the quarterback class. Will Levis taken in the top of the quarterback class. And then, then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I was really looking forward to those three all being there. Unfortunately, at this time, as we all know, Anthony Richardson is IR. He is out for the year because of that shoulder surgery. But we're hoping he's developing well behind the background. I wish he would be getting those game snap experience. That's what he needed coming in. Unfortunately, he's now going to be doing that thing so many people talked about, sitting and learning behind Gardner Minshew, who has kept us really close. We've been really close in games, but he's turned over the ball a lot. This last week, that did not happen. This last week, as we were kind of mentioning at the top of the show, all of our teams won, and Gardner Minshew did what he needed to do in conjunction with the other people on the team, and we got ourselves a dub. But Will Levis will be one of those that we will see later this season, and I do hope the best for him. I was very adamant that I did not want Will Levis as our starting quarterback, and then he looked great in his first game ever, 4 touchdowns, whatever. I didn't see exactly how he looked this last week, but I believe it was enough for the win, and unfortunately, with him in there, they may make a comeback, but I don't think this is the Colts year anyway, so we'll see what we'll see. NFL reinstated Martavis Bryant, yes, and the Cowboys signed him right away, and I believe he's going to be playing, right?
I don't know yet. I don't know when he'll be playing, but he'll be playing eventually. But it's just like, I guess, I don't know if you guys have seen not the memes, but the jokes that people make. It's just the Cowboys way. They have a player that gets in trouble for weed or some sort of police trouble or whatever. He gets banned or whatever, and the NFL, and then they get reinstate him, and then they sign with the Cowboys. That's how it goes.
Yeah, and every player, unfortunately, would love to sign with the Cowboys because it's such a huge. You have a media presence. You're known. They get like lots of games, even if they're losing. It's always what has been dubbed America's team, which I take. I have a problem with that. I take offense to that. I take umbrage with that. But anyway, yeah. So many people are excited to sign with the Cowboys, and Martavis Bryant did. Jaguars inducting Tom Coughlin into their Pride of the Jaguars. I guess that's like their Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he wasn't with them for that long.
He was their first head coach in 95 to 03, and then that was the years when they started in 95, they had a bad year, and they went to like championship, wild card, divisional championship, and they were almost a dynasty in the 90s, and he was like the main guy that led them there, and with Mark Brunell and Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith, and all these guys, and he rightfully so, he agreed, should be in there, but it just took time, and I think that he completely deserves it.
I totally forgot that that's where he started. And I forgot they had good years in the late 90s, and they had even a few in the 2000s, right?
Yeah, but not with him.
But once Peyton Manning got here, they were highly overshadowed by the Colts in that AFC South for a long time. Yeah. So I'd forgotten about that. AFC North. Here was an interesting fact. We discovered just before we started this podcast. We're kind of looking through standings, talking about football teams and what we're going to talk about in this. And we realized that as of right now, Josh realized, as of right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the entire AFC North is in the playoffs. Baltimore, Browns, Steelers, Bengals, all of them are in the playoff picture. That's worthy of mention. I know it's only halfway and things are going to change, but right now that's pretty impressive. I would not have thought that, especially with my mindset of where the Bengals started this season, to think even which they're in last place in that division, which seemed totally wrong. And of course, we didn't know Joe Burrow was going to get hurt, so our predictions are way off based on him getting hurt and Aaron Rodgers getting hurt. Those two things really, what was it you said, they led to our demise, Brandon?
Yes, our demise. The Bengals aren't too far off from where we projected them. If they went out the season and they go 14-3, we projected 15-2. They're still really close to what we thought. There was a little buffer we put in there. It might deviate 2 games. They could have a perfect season. To us, they felt like the most complete team going in to 2023. But right now, they're not totally there. But I don't count them out for what they've been able to do coming back into the season.
And you know what's funny? The quarterback has such an impact on a team because before we were thinking this is a really complete team. Look who they've got, and you name all the players they have. As soon as he gets hurt, I kind of forget about most all of those players because they're not doing great stuff without that great quarterback back there. Everybody's stats are down, and I tend to forget about Joe Mixon, and I tend to forget about Chase, and I'm trying to remember who else is on the team that I could forget about.
T. Higgins.
My father boy, Joe Mixon.
Yeah. So those people haven't really been high on my radar at the beginning of the year, but maybe they will continue to come back. Right now, if you would ask me who's the most complete team, there would be another team for sure listed there. But yeah, that was the beginning of the year. We thought that. Brandon, why don't you take this last one here on our news segment, because this is like right up your alley.
So there's this thing the NFL does, and of course I get insider information right there, insider information. The NFL has a fan of the year, almost like the Walter Payton Man of the Year, not of that stature. No one is Walter Payton.
Nobody gets, they don't get an award. They don't, it's just a recognition.
So there's a recognition for NFL Fan of the Year. Every team in the NFL gets to submit a fan. I think the Packers have a shot at winning it this year because our nominee for the Packers Fan of the Year is Tom Grossi, who I think
super well known.
Everyone knows him now. Yeah, he went and toured every NFL stadium this past summer.
What was it? 30 stadiums in 30 days?
Yep.
Something like that?
Yeah.
That's
went and raised a ton of money for charity. I think almost over $500,000, I think, is where he ended up in 30 days, which is amazing that he was able to do that. And it really grew his brand and what he's been able to do as a solo podcast host, essentially. Now I think he considers himself more of a YouTuber than a podcaster.
Yep.
But anyway, all of his hard work and his commitment to football and how it's actually changed people's lives, I think gives him a phenomenal shot to win this award. I don't know other NFL fans, unless their name is Matthew Thomas or Josh Haupt.
If I were voting right now, I would vote for Tom Grossi because he's really
I voted
the only
one
I know.
So what I'm hearing from this, from what Brandon's saying, is we just have to do something like Tom Grossi for our podcast. Maybe tour every NFL stadium in 15 days instead and record it and then upload it. And then we get our podcast boosted.
Yeah, and we have to donate $500,000 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital without them knowing.
I'm pretty satisfied with being in the top 180 greatest minds in football.
We don't have to pay for anything. We're already there.
Is Tom Grossi on that list?
I don't know.
You better check, because if he's not, take that, Tom Grossi.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll look.
All right. Well, let's hop into where our predictions are sitting. Preseason, of course, where we are today. We've had one of our better weeks, I'd say, at going 9-5. Of course, those are gonna no. Yeah, that's right.
I was shaking my head that Tom Grossi's not there.
Tom Grossi is not on the list. So we have better insights than Tom Grossi. He just has the larger following. So we went 9-5 this week. Of course, that number is not going to add up to your perfect 16 due to bye weeks. But overall, that's a very good position to be in. And I think we're still ahead of Adam Rank, which is the only thing that matters.
Probably ahead of Adam Rank, but our overall week 1 through 9, our total win-loss record is 79-60. So
yeah, above 500. We're doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's not too hard to be above Adam Rank, but
it's not.
We are,
especially when you get the guy that votes for the Bears to go 12-5, and so it's not that hard.
Got to be hating that. Speaking of, we'll save that for when we get to games. We'll save that. It's just bubbling up within me. Let's talk a little bit about our Week 9 review of our homer teams here, and then we'll talk about some of the other teams around the league. So if you're not a fan of the Colts, Commanders, or Packers, we do talk about some other teams, but we're going to start talking about the Colts. And again, I don't want to put every detail in there, but I will just tell you this. We played the Carolina Panthers. Not too tough a contest when you look at they've only had one win all year, and that was against the Texans, right? Just the week before. Mm-hmm. So there was a possibility they were starting to get things together, starting to gel, starting to get on a roll. We were going back to play Frank Reich, and that was his first time playing against us since we let him go, fired him midseason last year. So wondering how that would all go. We didn't have Anthony Richardson versus Bryce Young like I wanted. We had Gardner Minshew versus Bryce Young. But what Bryce Young did give us was a couple of gifted pick sixes, and Kenny Moore got both of those. Returned both of them. It was funny. We had our leading receivers. Somebody was listing them, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was funny because top receiver was 2 receptions. Kenny Moore, 115 yards off 2 receptions. So he caught those, and he ran a good distance with each one for a touchdown both times, which was very good. And then our next guy was lower, and it was an actual receiver. But I thought that was funny. Kenny Moore definitely got my MVP of the week for the Colts-Carolina game. And as much as I want to be super excited, I have to remind myself that was Carolina. And Carolina has Frank Reich, which, good guy, but not a great coach. And we beat him. I don't think that's saying a whole lot. I don't think that necessarily predicts that we're going on a big roll. I do think it means our players are playing well. Gardner Minshew will always kind of have us like at that cusp. It's just, it seems like he always falls a little short, and maybe we're going to hit a few over. We'll see. I'm all for the Colts winning, but at the same time, and this is bad because I know it's that fan thing that you shouldn't want, but like I'm really looking to next year, and I'm like, is there a chance Colts could maybe have such a low win number that we could get Marvin Harrison Jr.? That's all that's on my wish list. But I have more and more doubts every day that that's going to happen, because I do see the Colts winning a few more, moving out of the top, I'm not going to be in the top 5 because there's some teams that are just horrid, and they're going to beat us there. Packers might be one of them. What did I say, horrid? I didn't mean horrid, but the Packers might beat us in the draft order. We'll see by the end of this year. But that's the Colts. What about the Commanders, Josh?
Yeah, so we played the lowly Patriots. Same team that the rumors are swirling around that either Josh Harris is going to try to trade for Bill Belichick, or Bill Belichick, if they don't win against the Colts this week, Bill Belichick is going to be on his way out, whether it's forced retirement or forced resignation or firing. There has been rumors about that.
Just to stop you right there, you start off saying we played the lowly Patriots, who have Bill Belichick. And then in the same sentence, you said Josh Harris, our owner, is trying to trade for Bill Belichick. Yeah. Would you want to see that happen?
No, not at
the
all.
Lowly head coach of the Patriots who can't win anymore?
I think he's run its course. I think he's like at that age where he has a great mind. He's one of the best coaches of all time, but at some point you got to stop. And I feel like, I don't know if it's the team around him or what's going on, but it might just be that doesn't have Tom Brady. But I don't want to see him like because he's more of a defensive guy, and Ron Rivera is too, of course, but Sam Howell's been doing great with Eric Bieniemy, but I want a more offensive-oriented guy that can make Sam Howell better. And Bill Belichick, I don't think he's more of a defensive guy overall.
Yeah, I think Bill needs to take the John Madden route, one of his idols, and go and do booth commentary. Because this goes to my whole thing. I'm tired of offensive people being the analyst and never giving credit to the defense. I think Bill's going to give it to you straight.
But can you imagine that commentary? You got, I imagine he would be color commentary, right? So the other guy's like, so-and-so on a 1st and 10, he just throws it and picks up 6 yards. And what do you think about that? And then you hear,
on the second down.
That's pretty good. He did a good job there.
On the second down.
We're on the second down. Yeah. I can imagine it being pretty flat. I don't know. Maybe Bill Belichick could talk more. I have seen him in some of those like HBO things where he's talking, and he has some good insights. So it could be.
My favorite Bill moment is when he's talking about NFL greats, and they're constructing the top 100 players to ever play in the NFL. And he's one of those guys. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But he's energized about legends.
I don't know if I was going to ask.
I don't know if he can.
Would he be energized enough? Would he have the energy it takes to care? Because like Madden, they used to put Stickum on there when I was back in football. That's going to be a blow. And he was like always so big and up and energy. And Bill Belichick just has a different energy unless he gets as energized about a game as he does about the football greats.
So before we get back,
he might if he's not having to coach. I don't know what he's like in those meeting rooms. If he's like, guys, we got to watch out for Sam Howell. This guy's a dog. I doubt he would ever say dog.
Yeah. But so before we get back to the commander side of things, I want to share because Brandon did. I want to share my favorite Bill Belichick moment, and it is my Twitter bio on my personal Twitter, which if you're watching, you probably should not keep this as a Twitter bio. I just think it's kind of funny. But during the whole 04 to 07 Spygate stuff and all that thing where, they were spying on other teams' play callings and whatnot. I don't know when he directly said it, but I remember in a press conference, probably after a Chargers Patriots game, LaDainian Thompson came out and somebody asked him a question, and he answered with but LaDainian Thompson answered with, I think they actually started. I think Bill actually started saying by, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and that's my Twitter bio. But that's one of my favorite Bill moments. Just, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and that's kind of what I remember him for. So besides his coaching, as a person, is if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Now, was that him saying that, or was that LaDainian Tomlinson?
LaDainian Tomlinson was saying that he said that. So I'd have to find the clip somewhere, but I'm going to take LaDainian Tomlinson's word for it.
Yeah, Bill, when you watch this recording of us talk to you, since we're of 180 of the greatest platforms for football insights, just know if you're commentating, you get all of the insider access. You don't need to cheat for it. It's just given to you. So if that's an incentive, I would love to see you up there doing something, just projecting your love of the game, but
And
be
Bill,
energized about it.
If you need to come on here and clear up any of this record and set things straight, you're welcome.
We'll take you.
You can come on. So, what about the rest of the Commanders, Josh?
So we played well, actually. I mean, not well enough to put in a perspective of playing the Patriots, who are very bad, but overall our team played in a team effort. We played pretty well. Sam Howell continues to prove everybody wrong.
Wait, did I just hear Sam Howell is a dog?
He's a dog. Sam Howell is a dog.
There we go.
But the defense didn't look any worse without Young or Sweat on the side rushing the pass or running.
That's right. They got traded.
So
this
they didn't look any worse.
Week after.
And even then, I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a play where it was a completely legal hit. KJ Henry, our 6th round pick this year, was coming off the edge off of the left side. He's on the he jumps on the, not really jumps on the back, but best way to describe it, he's on the back and sacking Mac Jones, and they call it roughing the passer because he put his quote unquote full weight on him, which completely didn't do. It's just a fair sack all around, and they took his first career sack away from him. But Jartavius Martin and Emmanuel Forbes, our rookies, 1st and 2nd round pick. Emmanuel Forbes has been criticized for the past couple weeks for how he played his game. Came out, outperformed every single player in our secondary. I think he had 7 targets, allowed 2 catches for 13 yards or something like that. And then Jartavius Martin had a pick. So these rookies in the secondary completely balled out. And Jartavius Martin, like I said, had a pick, but it was the game-sealing interception on the Patriots' last drive. So these guys balled out, and those 2 were my MVP. Although I put Emmanuel Forbes in my MVP graphic because of all the criticism he's been getting, how he's wasn't worth a 1st round pick, and he just completely shut everybody up after this.
So you won, I won, Brandon.
Ooh, scary. I've been telling you for 3 seasons now. 3 seasons. Granted, it was the Rams offense without Matthew Stafford and some guy that no one knows his name, but I guess he played against Jordan Love twice in college. Whatever. Packers defense, phenomenal. Oh my gosh, all around gold stars. I saw an infographic on Rashawn Gary, the guy that just got a massive contract last week, 2 weeks ago, and in the past few weeks. In terms of pressure success rate, I think he's number 1 in the NFL. Is that right, Josh? Is it pressure success rate? What's the statistic?
I think so. Or pressure, maybe?
Pressures? Yeah, he's like that. Just go watch any game film. Just watch Packers defense. You're going to see Rashawn within inches of the quarterback on every play. And on the first drive, he almost ripped the quarterback's head off with a face mask. And he went back and he made sure the quarterback was okay. He understood what happened. The quarterback kind of ducked. He brought his arm around. His arm came right in contact with the face mask. Very worthy penalty to be called. It's textbook face mask. It just happens, not out of malice, but it was good. But the secondary stood up. This is our first game without Rasul Douglas. Everyone knows I'm a big Rasul fan. One day when I have children, I will be reading them the story of 2021 Rasul Douglas coming to the Packers.
Once
our
upon a time, there was a
our
man
corner
named
in
Russell
shining
Douglas.
armor. Yes, our corner in shining armor. Brought him in from Arizona. Started him that week. At the time, Arizona was undefeated, the last undefeated team in the NFL. Comes in and finishes the game with an interception to close it out for the Packers win. What a way to start your NFL career. I still miss Rasul. He did nothing for Buffalo this past week. I think I texted you guys, something about those lines during the Buffalo game. He didn't do anything. I just miss him. But Carrington Valentine came in, who's our rookie from Kentucky, University of Kentucky, who did actually quite well. He was very sticky in man coverage, blocking balls left and right. Granted, the quarterback play was not good. So the balls were not placed well, but he took advantage of what was given to him. So it's very helpful for me to see that, along with an interception, a fumble, the forced fumble, and the recovery of that fumble. All things very good for Packers mentality moving forward. We did not play as much zone coverage, which excited me because it's been shooting us in the foot all season. And we've seen it across the entire NFL. Everyone's starting to attack zone more and more and more efficiently. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of have to switch over to this more hybrid zone man coverage to be fully effective. And we did that with great success. So please, Matt LaFleur and Joe Barry, do this again this week, and let's stop Pittsburgh. Overall, the offense was good. I'm sure both of you were very happy with Aaron Jones actually producing something this week. A.J. Dillon looked good as well. And there was a little thing about Luke Musgrave. Let's see if I can find the analytic report. Here it is. So Luke Musgrave is on track, and this is scary under the radar stuff, on track to be the best rookie receiver we have had. And actually, we have had total, beating out Sterling Sharp. So I find that scarily under the radar impressive. He had his first touchdown this past week, which was great, but under the radar stuff, he's been consistent, catching the ball, getting yards, and hasn't been too flashy about it. So I'm very proud of Luke Musgrave and what he was able to accomplish. And his touchdown play was beautifully designed as well. It was a double fake to both running backs that made both of them look like a screen. Impressive play design and complete sell from Jordan Love to make the defenders think he was throwing to the outside both times. First time to Aaron Jones, which is standard. You want to get the ball in Aaron Jones' hand. And Aaron Jones perfectly covered by the defense. He pivots around. A.J. Dillon's right there, also perfectly covered by the defense. But guess what that left open? The middle of the field. Where who was there after shedding a block? Luke Musgrave for the touchdown. So very, 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 very satisfied with this. And I'll talk more about Packers Steelers here in a little bit.
Okay, so I found the quote. I found it. The Bill Belichick quote. And so Bill Belichick actually never said this, but I guess it is, but it is still my
I was going to say I didn't think he did.
So he'd probably, that's not Bill Belichick, but so I guess it is a known quote in a sports world in general. And it was LaDainian Tomlinson who did say it, but he said to the this is on New York Times in 2007, but he said it to the San Diego reporters while laughing. He said, "I think the Patriots actually live by the saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying." So LaDainian Tomlinson said it about the Patriots, about Bill Belichick to San Diego reporters after a game or whatever. And that's where I got it from.
Yep.
All right.
Well, let's jump to the Blake Harris corner, our two fair weather friends who love every team. Let's talk about some of the stuff that has happened this week. Brandon, take us away.
I'm going to come in. Daniel Jones joins the myriad of quarterbacks that have torn their ACL this season. Just an awful injury that we don't like to see because we want the best people on the field at all times because it's more fun to watch the best people against the best people. So we saw it happen.
Speaking of, that happened to Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, usually when it's ACL, you're out for the year. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers? Did I hear he's coming back?
Yeah, I think in a few weeks, this is his targeted timeline. He's looking good throwing the ball on the sidelines and warm-ups during the games. And so, what was it? The last game they played, was it Monday night? Last Monday night? Something like that. They played a primetime game. An opposing defender came up and said, hey, we love playing Zach Wilson, but I really want to play you. He said, give it a few weeks. I'll be back. What?
Brandon asked this question before. If he indeed comes back like week 14 and like plays well, what's the likelihood that the comeback player of the year will be a guy that we all thought was healthy when the year started?
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers.
I think I don't know if there's ever been a player that's been named comeback player of the year starting the season healthy and then finishing the season healthy and having a massive injury. 4 snaps. Yeah, 4 snaps. Packers fans know that. Number 4 is a number that sticks with us for different reasons. Yeah, Aaron, if he comes back, he's my vote for comeback player of the year. He actually came back in the year.
In
an impressive style, to my knowledge, has never been done before.
And they're still in the playoff picture possibility. And if he came back and they got in the playoffs and they went somewhere in the playoffs, can you imagine? My goodness.
Yeah, I think right now we have, probably some bad picks. Matthew and I both kind of went the Jimmy Garoppolo route. I doubt that's going to happen at this point. He's been benched for the season.
We went the Jimmy Garoppolo route with what?
With comeback player of the year in our preseason predictions.
I did not.
Josh came out and said DeMar Hamlin, maybe Russell Wilson. DeMar Hamlin, I think, is still a legitimate candidate.
I think he's the only candidate, kind of like the Alex Smith thing. But Russell Wilson is definitely looking like a better candidate than Jimmy Garoppolo.
But he wasn't injured. He was just bad.
That's
That's
what happened last year with Geno Smith. Never injured, but adversity was bad the previous year. It might have been a backup last year, and he showed out this year.
If Aaron Rodgers plays well, he wins it for me.
I think the sneaky pick in there that we didn't discuss is Tua, being with all of his concussion injuries last season, and how well he's done this season. I think he's our scary pick. We do have a comment from not Blake Harris, but his brother Brandon Harris. If Aaron Rodgers comes back, the Jets still have a lot of problems on offense. That is a fact. The O-line is bad. That's how Aaron tore his ACL, is bad O-line play. And the Jets did try to get David Bakhtiari. They did try to get Devontae Adams at the trade deadline.
And Mike Evans.
And I think they were also in the talks for trying to obtain Tyreek Hill.
My goodness. Those are some big names. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and David Bakhtiari for fans who know the Packers, but man, those wide receivers.
And right now the Jets fans are upset. They're like, what the heck, Randall Cobb? Welcome to the club. All right. I'm just telling you, I've known this. There's a reason the Packers got rid of him a long time ago. And he came back because he's best friends with someone. Now, I still like Allen Lazard. I get he has injury-prone things. He's still a very good, very reliable receiver.
I also guarantee that Randall Cobb would do better if Aaron Rodgers was the one throwing to him, because they have a chemistry.
Yeah.
What's this? Brandon Harris says, keep me and Blake separate. Insert Will Smith. Keep my name out of your mouth. We can't do that because you guys both just seem to flop around to whatever team you happen to like for the day. And so anybody who's that wishy-washy and won't take a stance on this is my football team.
I got a story to tell you about Blake. So I was, as you Matthew know, and I don't know about you, Brandon, but I was in a car ride with Seth on the way to Indianapolis and on the way back for a Pacer game on last Monday or Monday before or whatever. And we were talking about Blake and stuff, and he was like, yeah, I was with him whenever him and Lucas Roth, they were all three of them were together. And he was like, yeah, I was with him whenever when Blake was picking his college football team, because they didn't have one. And Lucas Roth, I guess, I believe he said it was if I remember
Ohio State.
Was a fan of Ohio State, and Seth and Blake was like, dude, you'll never guess my team, man. To Seth, you'll never guess my team. You'll never guess it. And Seth was like, is it Ohio State? He's like, Yeah, you just don't tell anyone though. It's not gonna be a secret. And then he does this whole announcement thing on Facebook with him picking the hat, and he's like, just don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. And so yeah, he'll pick any team that's winning. So although we all love Blake, we all love Blake Faith. He's a character.
It's like
We
we
also
all love
love you,
Brandon
Brandon.
Harris, but truth is, Brandon Harris. You need to find a team and stick with them, and not be this like, well, I just love every football team. I only really care about soccer. That's not going to fly.
All right. Well, let me comment on Brandon's comment here. He's almost 30. That's a fact. Never had a favorite team across any sport. Sue me.
Maybe
I
not
think
a
we
fact.
will. Because
I think we will,
Brandon,
because you
your
very
big claim
much
to
said you
fame-
were, yeah.
a Patriot before Tom Brady.
He
That's
said
your-
this.
Yes. That's your claim to fame for your Patriot success. So are you coming out now and telling us that it was Tom Brady?
I
All
guess
right.
we'll have to see. All right, let's go on forward here. So Daniel Jones is the latest to tear an ACL, and now the Giants already looking bad, in wins, and also the fact that they gave Daniel Jones this great big contract. I think Josh is still reading comments.
Yeah, he can't make up his mind.
I still like the Pats, but here, never had a favorite team. Right there. I still like the Pats.
We're going to go on. Ravens dominate Seahawks. Ravens went in there. We said, hey, this could be a close game because both these teams are doing well. Ravens said, nuh-uh. And they dominated. Vikings, here's a good one. New quarterback, Josh Dobbs, they just got from Arizona when Kirk Cousins injured himself. Leads the team to victory over the Falcons. Will this continue? Don't know, but they're on a 4-game win streak. Is that right? Vikings?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
what's even crazier about this game overall is that they acquired him Tuesday, Wednesday from the trade deadline.
They got him on Wednesday.
Yeah, he didn't know the play calls. Or let's say they got him on Tuesday because of the trade deadline. They probably came into the building Thursday. He didn't know play calls or barely knew play calls. He didn't. The offensive line did not know his cadences. They were practicing that on the sideline whenever he was getting ready, or when Jaron Hall got injured, and he still showed out and won the game over the Falcons.
Yeah. So, Blake, your team's still in the running, although I will say the Lions are second in the NFC right now behind the Philadelphia Eagles. So they've got some ground to make up if they want to overtake the Vikings and make this their division like you were hoping. But there's a shot. There's a shot. I don't see the Lions falling off, but we'll see what happens with the remainder of the season. What we can say is that the Raiders, who fired their head coach, fired their GM, benched Jimmy Garoppolo, they just went wholesale into, we hate the rest of the season, we don't care. Their team all rallied around this new interim head coach, and they won. I'm not going to say that's a flip of the script for the rest of the season, because that's what the Colts did with Jeff Saturday. They won the first game. They went out with him, and that often happens. People feel disrespected. They feel like, hey, nobody knows us. They play really hard, whatever. It's not necessarily going to sustain, but hey, good for the Raiders. I think Brandon was saying with this win, they topped our win prediction for them for the whole year. We thought they would win 3. They've now won 4, so they've proved us wrong. But we'll see how it goes from here on out. Who is their quarterback?
Aiden O'Connell.
Say that again?
Aiden O'Connell.
Exactly. Who? Aiden O'Connell. Guy that I never really said his name in my brain until Jimmy Garoppolo was benched. And he's there. We'll see what happens with them. And I'm sure Devontae Adams will have stuff to say at the end of the year, just like he had to say before this game. So we'll keep tabs on that. Browns did a blowout of the Cardinals. I don't really think that's that big of news, because the Cardinals have one win. Even though they've played tough with some teams, it's almost like they're playing tough, but I'm not saying purposefully. But if there was a team at the beginning of the year I thought was tanking, I thought it was the Cardinals. Just what they got rid of, what they let go, who they benched, everything looked like a tank job. And then they get close to winning, but then they don't quite do it. Still could be a tank job. I think it's going to be a big run between them and the Panthers, who gets that first overall pick. So we're going to keep an eye on that moving forward too. Let's revisit really quickly. It's not going to take forever, but let's kind of revisit what we thought those yearly award predictions would be. We said for MVP, Brandon said Justin Jefferson or Jalen Hurts, and Josh said Joe Burrow, and I said maybe Justin Jefferson, because I wasn't really sure.
None of those are likely.
And that was
maybe Jalen Hurts. Justin Jefferson has been injured for 4 weeks, so he's probably out of it unless he has like 5 300-yard receiving games in a week. Joe Burrow has started off too slow to do it, and Jalen Hurts is still up there, but I think there's other candidates that are better than him right now.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson was with the caveat that he passes 2,000 yards in the season, which I think is still obtainable for Tyreek Hill.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, he
and
didn't
Matthew's
have
been
a
reaping
huge game
all of
this
those
last
benefits.
week. Yeah, he's on my fantasy league, and this last week he didn't score. He only scored like 21 or some low 20s, which is like completely unlike Tyreek, who usually scores like 37 points himself, and I love that. But I think he'll bounce back and have some big. Now that's all with the caveat of every year it seems like the Dolphins up through 8 weeks look amazing, and then
wait till
somehow
December hits. Wait till December hits.
So I really want to see them continue on. I want to see Tua do well past 8 weeks. I want to see Tyreek Hill do well past 8 weeks.
They can't beat good teams, and I don't think they honestly they don't last in the playoffs because of that. So they've lost to the Bills, they lost to the Eagles, and they lost to the Chiefs. All three of those teams, two of those teams are winning their division and number 1 seed. The other team, the Bills, are having a rough go at things. The other teams,
hold
on. Top team.
Here's the triangle. Here's the triangle that happens. They beat the Broncos. The Broncos beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs beat the Dolphins. Who's better than who?
Transitive property does not work in football.
Here. But their last 7 games, the Dolphins are versus the Raiders, at the Jets, at Commanders, versus Titans, versus Jets, versus Cowboys, versus Ravens and Bills, versus Bills. So they have an easy 5-game stretch from the Raiders to the Jets, and then they have a very tough 3-game stretch from the Cowboys to the Cowboys to the Bills in the last 3 games. So I think these games are going to be very telling of who the Dolphins are and how, as they go into the playoffs, and how far they can make it.
Yeah. So, all right. Offensive player of the year.
Exactly.
I said Travis Kelce, and the two of you said Justin Jefferson. I think realistically, I don't think Justin Jefferson gets offensive player of the year. No. I could see Travis being in the conversation.
I think it's Tyreek, though.
Again, I think Tyreek is also very, 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 very high in that conversation. Let's look at our defensive player of the year. I went complete homer. I said Jair Alexander. I don't think that happens at this point. Josh says Micah Parsons. I still like Micah Parsons as an option. And Matthew said Sauce Gardner. I don't think that's an option at this point, but I do like Sauce Gardner.
I feel like there's somebody else who would be much stronger in this. I can't think of. Yes, Myles Garrett.
So Brandon Harris, I'm not going to pull these comments on because they're two different comments. Brandon Harris says his MVP would be Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. Both are very plausible answers. I'd give the edge to Lamar just because of how good he's doing this past couple weeks. And then offensive player of the year is Christian McCaffrey, who is once again a very plausible answer.
Yeah,
Christian McCaffrey is always a producer. Lamar, he's streaky. He always looks really good for part of the year, but never enough to really be the MVP, in my opinion. So we'll see if this year's different. How about offensive rookie of the year? Brandon said Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
Josh said Bryce Young. And Matthew said Anthony Richardson. Well, we know Anthony Richardson is not happening now.
I think it's a clear-cut answer. We don't have to finish the season, and it's an answer. It's CJ Stroud.
I thought you were going to say Bryce Young. I'm like, what?
I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, it's and then I stopped because my answer was originally Bryce Young, but I think it's CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's easily the answer. And honestly, he's in the top 10 for MVP voting, in my opinion, just because of how bad that team is and how good he's doing on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, D'Amico Ryans has made a huge difference, I think. Oh, yeah. And, but yeah, CJ Stroud has proved right now to look like the best rookie quarterback this year.
What's funny
I'm going to add the caveat that Anthony Richardson got hurt. It might have been a race, but
what's funny is that everybody, including us, was like, Bijan Robinson is clearly a good answer, and a lot of people picked him. We didn't. He was probably all of our second options, but he's not. I mean, he's good, but he's not been utilized at all for the Falcons.
Yeah.
How about defensive rookie of the year?
I went homer on this one. I said Lucas Van Ness. After week 1, I would have said that's correct. After week 10, I'm going to say that's not correct. Josh went Christian Gonzalez, and Matthew's like, I don't know any of these defensive rookies. Do not ask me.
I went Christian Gonzalez, and I was very confident in this one too. But he was up until he got injured in like week 5 or 6 or something like that. He was playing as the best corner in the league, and now Evan's been telling me this because he's said it on our podcast too. Evan's been telling me every week. He's like, or every week I see him or whatever. He's like, what's his name? The Seahawks guy, not Witherspoon. Whatever. The guy from Illinois, because he's an Illini fan. So that's probably why I picked up. But he's looking like the defensive rookie. He's looking like a defensive rookie of the year, honestly. And if it wasn't for Christian Gonzalez being injured, I can see there being a tight knit race between those two. But now that he's injured, I can see it being Devon Witherspoon.
And then comeback player of the year, we kind of touched on this earlier. Matthew and I both thought Jimmy Garoppolo. At the time, it was plausible. Josh said DeMar Hamlin, maybe Russell Wilson. We're all kind of a group mindset. If Aaron Rodgers does return and plays well, he gets it.
I think behind that, DeMar Hamlin has a strong chance yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think
DeMar
the best.
Yeah, and Tua.
I think DeMar. But I think DeMar Hamlin's, like we said earlier, it's like that Alex Smith thing over again, which is nothing wrong with that because Alex Smith almost died, with that leg injury and the infection and stuff. DeMar Hamlin almost died. Actually, did die for a couple of seconds on the field, and he came back. Although he's not playing, it's just like the hell Alex Smith thing. If he plays for a couple snaps or a couple of games, he's easily getting it because of what he came back from. So. I think our answers were all in agreement in the offseason of DeMar Hamlin, but we offered a second player if DeMar Hamlin didn't, I guess, get injured.
Yeah.
Let's go on to Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year, Brandon picked Dan Campbell. I love that pick.
I still think it's a viable option, too.
Josh picked Robert Saleh. I liked that pick. And so at that time, I said, I could pick Dan or Robert. I do think Dan is probably... I just love what he's doing with the Lions. Yeah. I love his attitude. I think he definitely is in the running.
I can see
solid.
I've seen a few options for this one. I've seen Dan Campbell thrown around there, and I think very deservingly so.
Yeah.
I've seen Nick Sirianni thrown around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've also seen
Mike.
Josh McDaniel?
Mike
McDaniels, the Dolphins guy.
With Dolphins.
Oh, yes. Who's Josh McDaniel?
That's the one who just got fired.
By the Ravens.
That's right.
He used to be a Patriot. He left the Colts at the altar and went to the Raiders and was fired just like he was from the Denver Broncos. Ha ha! Yeah. Take that, everybody.
Yeah, I'm getting the Matthew Drew Lock syndrome. Oh my gosh.
Drew Lock and Daniel Jones just merged in my mind into one person.
I'd be able to bring this up, but you kind of segued right into it, Matthew. But speaking of, there's been rumors by a couple former players like Jay Cutler, like Kyle Orton, and a couple other players on the Broncos back in his late 2000s days when he was coaching there that he was not a good coach back then either. He I know he traded Jay Cutler because he just simply did not like him. That is a true rumor that I've looked into. And there's a rumor that I have not looked into, but do you guys remember Peyton Hillis, that 1 year wonder Madden Cup? Yep. He traded him from the Broncos to the Browns because there was not allegations, I guess, because it wasn't really taken to court, but there was rumors that he slept with his wife or he was doing something with his wife, Josh McDaniel's wife, and he let him go. And there was just no chemistry. There was nothing between him and the Broncos at the time. I don't know how it was on the Patriots, but it's clearly not the answer for the Raiders either. There was the same stuff going on where they were in a meeting and Antonio Pierce, who there's now their interim head coach, was saying stuff like, as a player on the Giants in the 2007 run where they defeated Patriots, we had heart, we had passion, we had, all these things. And Josh McDaniels just stepped up and said, please do not talk about the Patriots ever again. And Mark Davis saw that and he's like, that's my guy. And he fired Josh McDaniels and put Antonio Pearson in there. And even Devontae Adams has come out and said, there's fire, there's passion. I love this guy and I'm willing to run through a brick wall for this guy and Antonio Pierce. So Josh McDaniels' problem is basically what I'm saying has been going on for the past decade and a half.
There's a very specific culture with New England, and he
I'm
fits
going to let
there.
Brandon Harris put in the chat, what is the Patriot way? Because it doesn't work anywhere else. We've seen it.
It doesn't. Yeah, and it's true. And when Bill Belichick has Josh McDaniels, they do pretty well together because Bill Belichick is not an offensive mind, and you can see that has not been a part of this team. So he may end up back there again. Who knows? We'll see, I guess. He's being paid by Mark Davis, whatever he does.
6 years or something. Yep. He can retire in 3-4 years and come back and still.
Yeah. All right. Let's look into week 10. I'm going to start this one, and we'll go in reverse order. We got a classic NFL matchup: Packers at Steelers. And why do I say this is a classic matchup? Well, Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. This is the last time both of these teams appeared in the Super Bowl, I think, right?
The last time they met, you mean?
No, we've met between. But I know for sure last time Packers were in the Super Bowl was Steelers, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh last time was also Packers. Because before then, the Steelers had gone with Arizona or Seattle. One
Arizona.
of those.
And then
way
Seattle.
Back when.
Yeah, way back when.
Anyway, so, Packers fans, Steelers fans, shake hands, acknowledge that two all-time great teams. I'm looking forward to this matchup. The Packers are looking, again, it was against the Rams, but looking reinvigorated from what we had previously had, which is hopeful. I know they've done a lot of behind-the-scenes work to change some things around and how they operate week to week. And I hope that momentum carries into this game. I do think it's going to be a closer game overall. I know the Steelers are putting up really, really good stuff right now defensively. George Pickens is, when he's playing or when he's being targeted, is looking phenomenal. And when he's not, he's turning into off-field Antonio Brown, which for them, I hope he fixes. But I do think the Packers being reinvigorated, having Rashawn Gary be a top edge rushers in the NFL right now is going to bode extremely well for us, putting a lot of pressure on Kenny Pickett. I don't think it's going to be an easy game whatsoever. Like I mentioned, this Packers season is a roller coaster. Right now, we are riding the high. It's going to be really easy for every Packers fan to say, all right, we're going to win out the season. I do think there is opportunity to win this game. I'm not super optimistic about it. I do think the final score is going to be 31-25. I'm putting the Packers as winning it, but I could see Pittsburgh coming out and winning it too. A one-score game, but some good things happening during the game.
See what you did there. You picked the same score as the Super Bowl.
Yeah, thank you.
How about the Washington Commanders?
We play the Seahawks this week. The Seahawks have been looking really good, aside from last week against the Ravens, but the Ravens are a very, very good team. And part of me feels like this is going to be a close game where the Commanders lose, but another part of me feels like this is what I've been saying it for the past couple of weeks, whether it's against the Eagles both times where we lost very closely. But I feel like how the Seahawks got blown out and their confidence is low again last week against the Ravens going into this week, and we are on a win streak. We have a 1-game win streak. It's not really a streak, but we won
win streak.
We won last week against the Patriots, and everything started looking right somewhat. I feel like this is a chance that Ron Rivera pulls out his yearly upset card where he upsets a team that should easily be winning based off record and based off performance. And it's a close one, and the Commanders win 31-28. But the keys to winning this game is Sam Howell needs to perform like he did the past couple weeks against the Eagles and then the Patriots. Maybe one costly turnover, or maybe one turnover that might be costly, might not be, but you need to keep the turnovers low. The rookies need to, like Forbes. This is a real test for Forbes because he was playing against guys like Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker, guys that aren't at the top of their game anymore. And you're going against DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, whatever his name is. But you're going against guys that are top 10 receivers in the league or top 20 receivers in the league, and DK and Tyler Lockett. And so this is a real test for Emmanuel Forbes to prove that he is not just a fluke game and he actually can perform against these guys. But I'm still hoping and I'm still predicting a 31-28 Commanders win, either a game-winning field goal or it's a field goal in the OT that wins them the game.
Okay. I feel like there's a problem here because we're all predicting wins for our team. A little spoiler here. I don't think
that means we also all lose in fantasy. If all of our teams win, we also lose.
I lost in fantasy anyway. Colts, Patriots. I would say the Colts beat Carolina Panthers last week. That is no reason for celebration, and we're probably going to lose except for the fact that we're facing the pitiful-looking Patriots, who have not looked good. They've only won 2 games all year. And there's a lot of rumors starting to swirl about Bill Belichick. At the beginning of the year, I was saying there's no way. But the big rumor is if they lose to the Colts, it could happen at that point. I would love to, finish up at church on Sunday, go to watch my recorded game that happened earlier in Germany, earlier in the day, and find out at the same time that Bill Belichick has been fired. This would all be good things. I think the Colts have a chance to win this. I don't think it's a slam dunk because I don't think the Colts are a powerhouse team right now. I think they've got pieces, they've got flashes, and I think they're heading in the right direction. But I do think the Colts could beat the Patriots, and I think it could be like a 27-14 sort of win. What I see here is the Patriots are just not that good. Colts, again, 2 weeks ago, the last 3 weeks, Gardner Minshew had, or like last week when you looked back at the 3 previous games, Gardner Minshew had turned the ball over like 4 times each game. Can't have that. This last week, I think he did not turn it over. This last week, the defense played really well. Jonathan Taylor is increasing in snaps and output. And looking good when he plays. So I think the Colts can win this one. But again, don't get too excited. This is a 2-win team we're talking about that has not looked good. So we'll see what happens over there in Germany. I know our offensive lineman, who is from Austria, I think, Bernard Ryman, he's excited. A lot of talk going on there. So anyway, I think Colts 27-14. But don't get too excited about that, Colts Nation. Now, the problem, I see all 3 of us predicted our teams to win. The other problem, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know which one of us is wrong, but I think one of us loses.
Probably me.
So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, every week you've been pulling out, if you play a better team, you're like, hey, this is the week when Ron Rivera does it. But so far we haven't seen that. I guess, yeah. You are ahead of us, though, I think, in wins. Actually, you're tied with the Colts. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the marquee manure and my games, where we pick out what game you just should not miss, what game is just you don't even need to tune into, and what game could be a head scratcher. Oh my, look at that. So let's start. Brandon, your marquee for the week.
I'm going to go with 2 teams that are on the up and up right now. 2 teams I legitimately think are going to be in the AFC playoffs as wild cards, not necessarily division winners. I'm going Texans go to Cincinnati, Houston, and Bengals. And for those exact reasons I mentioned. Both of these teams, I feel, have very strong playoff projections. I don't think either one is going to win their division. I think they both come in second. And they probably, high likelihood, meet again come playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump to me, marquee. I've really had a tough time because San Francisco has been losing so much of late that although they used to look like a powerhouse, and I'd be interested to see them versus Jacksonville, I switched over to Lions Chargers. They're kind of making a comeback. I think I don't know what kind of streak they're on, but I feel like they've been better the last few weeks. Lions are a team that I think are good. And so I'm going to say, if you're going to watch a game, watch Lions Chargers this week.
2-win streak for Chargers.
2-win. It's just barely better than the Washington Commanders 1-win streak.
That's right.
So, and the Lions 1-win streak as well.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Josh? What's your marquee?
I picked my homer game as my marquee game.
Of course. Marquee, can't miss this one.
Yeah, for me, but I think other people in general are going to have a fun time watching this game. I mean, if the Commanders offense plays like they have the past couple weeks, it's going to be a very offensive-oriented game with touchdowns, passing touchdowns, deep plays, deep passes all over the field, deep bombs for touchdowns with Geno Smith and Sam Howell going head-to-head. And the receivers are all there. DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett, Jahan Dotson. And I just think this is going to be a very offensive shootout. And I think it comes down to what defense plays better against that powerful offense. And this is something I really, as a Commanders fan, I'm hoping not to miss. Depends on if it's on TV. But as a general fan, I think this is one that you shouldn't miss.
All right, let's snake back. Starting Josh, what's your manure game?
I think we can all disagree on this one. We don't even have to talk about it. Panthers.
I think we do have a disagreement.
We do?
Yeah, let's talk.
All right. Panthers at Bears is my manure game. I mean, top three draft picks in the league right now. Top 3 worst teams by record. I don't even know what to expect from this game. I don't know. Maybe Frank Reich gets his second win. Maybe he does, but honestly, I could care less because these teams don't have any I guess any chance at a playoff implication. So that means they're not hurting the Commanders' playoff chances. It's just I could care less.
Okay, that's exactly why this is not my manure game of the week. Because I looked at this one. I looked at Atlanta, Arizona as a possibility. I'm like, because Arizona only has one win. Then I looked at Chicago, Carolina. They're both doing really bad. But then I remembered that Chicago owns Carolina's first overall pick and, of course, their own pick. And so I think as exciting as it may be to see if this new quarterback can beat Carolina, which is that really saying much? Or if Bryce Young can get it together and beat Chicago, is that saying much? Not really, but I think there are people excited to see what happens here as far as draft pick order and that going on. So I actually picked one that is manure for, this is a very Brandon Colmark sort of manure game, and that is Dallas versus Giants. Dallas is good. Giants are bad. Giants just lost their quarterback. They already only had 2 wins. Dallas has dominated. I think that's just going to be like a game. And there's no implications for, I guess New York is in that, going to have a top 10 pick somewhere probably. But the whole Chicago, Carolina kind of pairing through their trades and drafting stuff made that more interesting to me than watching Dallas beat New York. So I did not pick Bears, Panthers. So.
Yeah, well, thank you for the highlight there, Matthew. I appreciate the usual Brandon Colmark fix, which I did not do this week. So I decided to go Panthers, Chicago, because really what this is the JV of the NFL. No one goes to watch the JV games. They go to watch the varsity games. And it's not fun watching JV versus varsity games either. But to me, watching the Bears struggle and labeling them as a manure team brings me way too much joy to pass this opportunity up. And so for the spite, Panthers in Chicago.
I will say this. How many wins do the Bears have right now?
2, 3,
have 1, 2.
2. They're 2-7.
They're 2, and you have 3 wins.
Whoa. I know where we're at. You don't need to bring it up.
Yeah,
at the end of this week, you guys could be tied.
All right. Now, we are not here for the negative comments. We did not get in the top 180 NFL Insider for this.
All right. I will.
We just finished our manure game. Brandon Harris commented and said there are 5 manure games.
Well, yeah. You have to pick one, though.
And 2 of them are our team. So it could, I guess we could argue that amongst ourselves. So
Yeah, absolutely. We look at this every week and we're like, oh my goodness, how do I pick one manure game with all of these poor teams playing?
This week especially.
We've decided. I think the harder thing is picking the marquee game, because it's like, what do we have as options?
What do you have to watch?
Yeah.
But we've limited ourselves to the rules we live by are you have to pick one game. So yes, there could be a possible 5 in there. Let's go ahead and talk about the My Oh My games. We'll snake again, starting with Brandon.
My oh my, this is the intriguing one. Everyone's looking at the New York Jets right now. Aaron Rodgers returning, potential playoff implications, which would be very impressive. We've covered that enough in this podcast. I'm not going to dig more into that. But the Raiders are also re-engaged. And those 2 teams play Sunday night this week. So you kind of have to watch the game if you're a football fan, because it's the only game that's on Sunday night. But I actually think it's going to be a better game than most people believe to see it. And I think in the warm-ups, you're going to get an Aaron Rodgers ball to Davante Adams just for fun. And also Davante's, reconnecting with half of the Packers team he played with in Green Bay that's now in New York. So take that as you will. But I'm going Jets at Raiders Sunday Night Football.
Okay, I'll go next. And there were a lot of teams that could fit in this one. I went with Cleveland, Baltimore this week because everybody's like, oh, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson is MVP. And I think very much Myles Garrett could make him look like a non-MVP again. And it would pull them within one game of Baltimore. As we said, that whole division right now would be in the playoffs, and I don't think Baltimore has it locked up by any means. We've seen Baltimore out in the lead and then fall off at the end before. I totally expect that could happen again. I think Deshaun Watson's still getting used to playing with that team, and they have a lot of strong parts on both sides of the ball. I think both of those do. I think that's going to be an interesting game to watch to see what happens there. And I do think Lamar Jackson, now watch, I'll say this and he'll look amazing and everybody like MVP, but I think he could come back to earth a little bit in that whole hype train. So that's my. How about you, Josh?
Mine is Lions at Chargers. I mean, like Matthew said earlier, or Brandon said, Chargers are on a 2-game win streak, just one above the Commanders' 1-game win streak. But the Lions we've always talked about every single week. They're a great team. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. The Chargers are slightly getting up there as a playoff team with implications on the line. But the Chargers have a great offense and and a pretty good defense. The Lions have a great offense and a pretty good defense. And I think this is just going to be a battle of back and forth, who gets the ball last and who scores last. And
it'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to our upsets of the week. This is always a fun one to pick because you pick all these games where you think it's going to be somebody really great over somebody not so great, and you think, okay, that's going to be my manure game. But then every once in a while you look at it and like, could there be an upset? If so, what is it? We'll start with Josh again since we're snaking.
Upset, I'm going with the same trend. Commanders over Seahawks. I talked about it earlier.
Oh, my goodness, this guy is a Commanders fan.
I talked about it earlier. And
I don't believe it.
It would be really hard. It would be really upsetting if the Seahawks won, because that means my score prediction was wrong. My marquee game might have held up if it was a close game, and my upset was wrong. But I just feel this is Ron Rivera's game, and I know Matthew said I talk about it a lot, but it's going to happen at some point. I promise you, it's going to happen at some point this year. And I don't know if it's this game, the Dolphins game, or the I can't remember what the 49ers game, but I feel like
it's your Dolphins game. When is your Dolphins game? Is it in December?
Like 2 or 3 weeks.
Your best bet still may be the 49ers.
Yeah. It probably is the 49ers, but I just feel like the way the Seahawks played and the way the Commanders played last week and the way they have been playing, the Seahawks have been playing great. And then they just dropped down to a very good team. I still feel like that confidence is low, and the Seahawks, the Commanders' confidence is slowly rising as, things get better on defense and offense. And I just think that this is going to be a close game, but the Commanders barely edge it out.
Mine this week is one that if I would have said this at the beginning of the year to myself, I would have said, somebody shoot that guy. He's insane. But I think it very well could happen. I have Houston upsetting the Cincinnati Bengals. CJ Stroud and that defense and that offense, they've been playing well. And yes, they did lose a game to Carolina. That's in there. You can't disregard that. But they've been playing well. And Cincinnati, good team. That's why I think it's an upset. I think by every right, Cincinnati should beat Houston. But for this week, I'm going to say Houston beats Cincinnati, which is a blow to Cincinnati and a real boon for Houston as they're like kind of pursuing Jacksonville here in the AFC South. So that's my upset.
So you might say it's a marquee game.
Can you imagine me saying that before this season started, though? Hey, Houston might beat Cincinnati in week 10. Everybody be you fool.
Let's roll back the tape because we do have coverage of that game in our predictions. And we have Cincinnati probably pretty handily beating Houston.
Probably.
Yeah, I believe every one of us believed Cincinnati would just be thrashing Houston. So, yeah.
So I'm going to go.
What's your upset?
I'm going to go my upset, kind of talking about what Matthew was going through earlier. Browns beating the Ravens. Cleveland over Baltimore. Mm-hmm. I think it's legitimately could happen. These divisional games are always wonky. I'm never sold that one team is going to fully beat the other team, even if it is 16 times in a row since Peyton Manning retired as their quarterback from the Super Bowl 50 victory. I don't believe any divisional game is 100% written off. And this is one of those implications, especially because let me look here. I believe, I'm wrong. So I don't believe it anymore, but I thought they were 1-2 in the division. They're actually 1-3, but the Steelers, Browns, and Bengals are all at 5-3. It's just the tiebreakers that are establishing the Steelers at 2, the Browns at 3, the Bengals at 4.
Right.
Word it however you want. These are two best teams in the division, excluding tiebreakers in my head.
Yeah.
And so I think it could be really good. And I'm going to rotate into my lock of the week is going to be Matthew's manure game, Cowboys over Giants. I know I was just talking about divisional games. This is not one of those weeks where a divisional game is 100% up in the air. Just because of everything the Giants are going through right now, there is no shot. If they had a healthy team, I'd give them a fair shot. They do not have a healthy team. So I don't give them a shot. And was it the Giants a couple seasons ago that completely wrecked Dak and like injured him?
Maybe.
So maybe that's the only solution to winning the game is completely destroying the other team's quarterback so they can't play anymore. I don't know. But right now I got Cowboys locked in over the Giants.
And I'm just going to quickly say I agree. That was my manure game. It's also my lock. Dallas over Giants. I just feel like that is going to happen. Josh?
My lock of the week is Commanders over. I'm just kidding. It is
same
Raiders.
upset and lock. I love
upset,
it.
lock, marquee, my. He picks Commanders over Seahawks for all of them.
I'm gonna do that one week. But mine is Raiders over Jets. I just feel like the Jets are completely down until Aaron Rodgers comes back. If he comes back, the defense is very good. The quarterback play and offensive line play is not good. But the way the Raiders played last week with that fiery passion, I mean, I think they scored 21 points in the first half, and that's the most points they scored in a game. And they did it in the first half. Under a new interim head coach, it's just crazy. And I think they bring that same
New
passion.
Quarterback. Yeah.
And I think bring that same passion into it over the Jets and they win. That's all that matters.
Right. All right. I'm sitting here on these games. I don't even know what's next on our list here. We have our fantasy MVPs. I really have nothing to add here. My fantasy team underperformed all over the place. Even though Aaron Jones scored, he only got 17 points. You want 20 something.
Yeah.
Tyreek only barely broke 20. Jordan Love didn't get me much as far as quarterbacks go. It just was a very mediocre week all around for me. So no MVPs. Everybody, you all go to Mediocreville. No MVP.
I'm going Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb is my MVPs. And they've consistently performed for me week in and week out.
It's without a duo to have.
Yeah. And that's why I drafted both of them and didn't mention any of it to y'all before the draft.
Mine was sorry, I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's the Browns defense because they got me. It wasn't a single player, and that's why I was trying to remember what player it was, but it wasn't a single player. Mine was the Browns defense. I mean, I lost by a little bit to Abigail, but they got me like 28 points, and they actually made it a game for me until coming Monday night, where I actually thought I'd win, but Justin Herbert got me like 7 points, and Eckler got 15 points. So it didn't.
That Browns-Ravens game is going to be awesome. Watching that defense. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
How about our Commissioner's Minute? Commissioner, you have anything to say to the fantasy football folks in the world?
I do. If you're in our league, if you're one of the select 12 people that we sifted through applications for, I want to tell you spots 3 through 9 are completely wide open. So you could be in the coveted playoff spot. You could be a consolation prize, as our number 11 is right now, completely out of the consolation bracket. So don't give up. Use your waivers. Trade season is over. You can't trade anymore. And let's finish the season pretty strong. Right now, we're sitting at our fantasy championship from last year are our top 2 spots at the moment.
It seems like no matter how hard I try, I can't keep Brandon and Jacob out of the top. I've almost given up. But I keep putting my players in, and they keep underperforming.
Me too.
Every single game.
This is why I took early losses to get Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp drafted. I knew they would pay off. All
right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the Football Fandemic. Make sure to make your votes so that you can stay in competition for that ice cream from Brandon. And we'll see you next time on the Football Fandemic.